Travel is more than just ticking off countries. It's about the people, the culture, the food, the moments. I'm Pippa Hudson, and on Wonder the World, I invite you to join me every week as we explore destinations both near and far, with the help of fellow adventurers who share their unique travel stories. Listen to my podcast wherever you get them.
Relationship issues,
Relationship talk.
on 702.
So on our relationship and sex feature this morning, we are talking about navigating threesomes, foursomes, or maybe moresomes. Have you ever thought about having a threesome? Maybe you've thought about having a foursome or with more people than just 4 people. Group sex can be thrilling for other people. It's a very common fantasy for others, whether you have considered it, whether you've tried it, or maybe you've just wondered about it. The reality can sometimes be a little different from what you can imagine it to be, right? Bringing in a third person in on some sexy time, that can also change even relationship dynamics. Maybe as a couple you thought, let's start bringing in a third person, and you thought it works, but it doesn't. Or it actually works for the better, right? So when you talk about just how you can navigate that can help you if you're still wondering about it, if you still want to try it out. It can help you know what are the things to consider, what are the things to be cautious of. How do you even broach the subject? Talk about it with your partner. If you want to join this conversation, maybe you have thought about having a threesome, a foursome. Maybe you've tried it yourself. What's been your experience? 011-883-0702. As always, I'd like to hear your thoughts. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Nu Davidson is a sex educator and couples intimacy coach who's joining us and will be guiding us through this conversation. Hello, Nu. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Hey, Clement. Always a pleasure to be on air with you. I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm glad we're having this conversation that I know previously, culture has always frowned upon group sex or anything other than 2 people engaging in what, we can call, plain vanilla sex. Is that slowly changing, especially in as far as group sex is concerned?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you think about the origin of this, we went through a patch, right? In the very beginning, if we go back to ancient Roman days and the Greek mythology, you'll see a lot of group sex and a lot of group intimacy happening. It was pretty common, actually. Then we kind of evolved into a more almost said monotonous, but I meant monogamy. So more of a monogamous styled relationship whereby one individual would then partner and pair with their chosen person, and that would be their commitment. In many cultures, as in heterosexual relationships, a man can have multiple wives, not necessarily the reverse. So that's been the journey as we go. Monogamy is one of the most, culturally accepted and common ways of having a relationship. However, there is diversity in multidimensional relationships, and we're talking beyond just the intimacy. So there is a difference between having a threesome, which is a one-off sexual experience or a regular sexual experience that you enjoy, versus a polyamorous structure or an open, non-monogamous structure to your relationship. That is more than just the physical, that's the emotional relationship that goes with it. So there are multi versions of how relationships can look. Threesomes and foursomes and, group sex has become a lot more common, I would say, in today's modern state, but there is a lot to navigate with it.
Yeah. And we'll talk about how you navigate that, but still on these perceptions and cultural expectations. Sometimes you wonder where people will frown upon group sex, and yet when they go to watch porn, for instance, they still pick porn where there's just a group of people just having sex. And sometimes you wonder, is there a fantasy there that they just feel, I can't bring myself because of whether religious or cultural or whatever reasons, I can't bring myself to do it, but I enjoy watching it.
Absolutely. So when we look at our desires versus fantasies, these are two different things. One, we can fantasize, which is a fictional journey in your brain. It can be as wild as you want it to be. Doesn't necessarily mean you actually want to action it. An actionable, fantasy becomes a desire. I get turned on by this. I'm aroused by it. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to implicate it. Then those are two different things. You can fantasize about it. And I want to bring that up because I want to eliminate as much shame as possible, because a lot of people get turned on, and what they're aroused by in their fantasy does not necessarily mean that's what they actually want to foresee happen. It just happens to turn you on. So those are two different things I want to distinguish here.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so what are some of the most common motivations couples have for exploring group sex?
Okay, so obviously the list is long because every relationship is unique. But for a lot of people, it's a fantasy, it turns you on, something about it arouses you. Whether that is being watched by other people, including other people, very, very common. Threesomes is probably one of the most common fantasies that there is statistically. So it's a very common thing to desire. And I think there is a lot around what you're desiring in that, and getting to the root cause of why you want that. Having that conversation with your partner. What is the motivation? What is your why? Now, if we think about the long list of why we have sex, it's hundreds. It might be a stress reliever. It might be a connection. It might be to explore. A lot of relationships maybe want to explore it because they're adventurous. Maybe it is one person's fantasy. Maybe it's both of their fantasies they want to outlive. Maybe they're feeling like their relationship's getting a little bit stagnant and they want to add a little spice to it. And this is something that their friends have done, so now they want to do. So it's no straight answer. There are multiple reasons why people may want to explore this. And I guess it starts with a conversation.
It starts with a conversation, but how do you then navigate it? So once you've decided as a couple that this is something we're going to do, how do you navigate it? I remember taking a call in one of our conversations at this time on a Friday, probably about a year or two ago, from a couple. And this was a gay couple that, one of them called in and said that when they brought in someone, they decided, as a couple that, just to spice up things in our relationship, let's bring in a third party. And they brought in a third party, but then they ended up breaking up because the rules were that we can only engage with that third party, the three of us. But for some reason, one of the partners went and had sex with that other third party outside of that arrangement because they had feelings that had developed. So how do you navigate it like that? Because sometimes, yes, it may not be intended. You may think, this is just for fun to spice things up. But what happens when the third party you've brought in, you've actually enjoyed doing this with them more than you do with your partner, and something develops there? So what should people be cautious of as they navigate the dynamics of bringing a third person in, or fourth, or fifth?
So I think regardless of the number of people you bring into your relationship, the communication and boundary setting is the forefront of this journey. If you are going to open your relationship for whatever, whether it is emotional or just sexual, you want to have a very clear conversation, not a conversation, multiple conversations. It is not a one-off. Much like consent, we don't just go, yes, I'm into it now, and then that's the end. Because I said yes once, that means that you never have to ask me again. This is a continued conversation, constant check-in. One of the greatest myths people have in opening their relationship is that it's going to explode the relationship. It'll destroy the relationship. You're unhappy because you're looking for something else and you want another person. When you do an open relationship properly, it is probably more communicative and connective, because the depth of communication is tenfold to the average relationship. Because you really have to check in regularly, adhere to the boundaries, constantly adjust your boundaries as you navigate the newness. There is the reality of risk. Whenever you engage sexually with anyone, any people, there is risk attached to it. So you want to ensure you've established clear communication, clear, constant communication around your boundaries, your expectations of each other in your relationship, knowing that you as the partner are the primary. You starting off as the couple, you are the primary, and therefore that conversation begins with the two of you. What are you looking for? Then you include your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, however many you want to. And obviously they then become a part of the conversation in what their expectations are, what their boundaries are. So it's a lot of communication that goes into it. Making sure that you do a pre-discussion as well as a debrief. After every time you've been with someone, check in. There is a lot of unforeseeables in a sexual experience. You don't know how you're going to feel when you watch your partner, penetrate somebody else or kiss somebody else. You don't know that because if you've never experienced it until you're in the moment, which makes it fundamental to be able to have constant consent throughout the journey, to be able to flag, I'm feeling a little triggered right now, that everyone is very aware of each other in the midst of the adrenaline rushing experience. A debrief where everybody checks in. And this is not just to ask one time we had a great night, we had a third and it was an incredible experience. The end you enjoyed. Let's do it again. It's how do you feel a few days later? How was the experience? Unpack the experience together. Making sure that there is constant checks on STI screenings and you have the communication around what your consent is, what your protection is from getting regularly tested, using protection condoms. These are all conversations that have to happen. So I know you laugh, but every time I'm on the show, the thing that I drive home the largest is communication. Yes. And my goodness, if one is to explore with other people and open your relationship, communication couldn't be the largest component to the experience.
Yes. It's 20 minutes now after 11 o'clock. After the break, I'd like us to hear from our listeners on 011-883-0702. That's where you can give us a call. Have you ever thought about having a threesome? Have you had a conversation with your partner about bringing in a third person or two more people into your intimate space? Did you have rules around that? How did you navigate that? Maybe you are the one that asked your partner and your partner said no, or your partner asked and you said no. What happened? Has that conversation even occurred? Give us a call to share your experiences with us on 011-883-0702 or send me a WhatsApp voice note or text on 072-702-1702.
Relationship issues?
Relationship talk
On 702.
It's 24 minutes after 11 o'clock on our relationship feature this morning. It's adult radio, so just a reminder that kids are not allowed this hour. We're having a conversation about how to navigate threesomes with your partner in a relationship because, yes, it does happen. There are some couples who have a fantasy about this, who want sometimes to be watched or watch other people. And I'm asking you if you have tried it. Have you tried a threesome? Is it your fantasy? Have you tried it? Are you considering it? What's been your experience? Has it worked? Has it done what it was supposed to do? Especially if you did it with your own partner and you guys brought in somebody else. Did it rekindle? Did it spice things up? Or did it complicate things? Just give us your raw experience of how that was for you. 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. You can send a WhatsApp as well on 072-702-1702.
Hello, 702 family. I love this topic. Look, I mean, it's happening. It's happening more than people think. There are clubs that accommodate this type of choice of living all over the country where people can go and live out their fantasies. It's there. It's happening. I just don't see my Zulu husband agreeing to such.
Your Zulu husband. Well, you never know. And you know, what I sometimes find new is that sometimes we don't talk about certain things or express our fantasies in our relationships because we think, oh, my partner is going to think this, my wife, my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend is going to think I'm wild, or where did I learn this? Why am I interested in this? But actually, sometimes you'd be surprised that maybe that's something they're also thinking about or more, but they're just scared to talk about it. And as you always say, Nu, just communicate. If it doesn't work for you guys, it doesn't. If it doesn't, both of you are considering it, but how are you going to know when you don't communicate it?
Absolutely. And, I do say communicate like it's easy, but it's not necessarily always easy. So if anyone is thinking, how am I going to bring this up? I kind of have this desire and fantasy, but I have no idea where to go with it. Here's your perfect opportunity. Hey, babe, I listened to this amazing segment on 702 today, and they talked about threesomes. How interesting. What are your thoughts on threesomes? Open the door. Have the conversation. Let the conversation begin there. Of then you get a little bit of an insight. Are they going to be like, hell no, I'd never do that? Or that's interesting. What did you think? What did they say about it? And you begin a dialogue about it. Bringing up, saying something is better than saying nothing at all. And just because you say something doesn't necessarily mean, again, that you want to implicate it, that you want to implement it. It doesn't mean that because you're like, oh, it turned me on and I really like listening about it. It made me think. That means that, hey, I want to do this. It's a long journey. Also, we think that it's super easy to just go out and find a third. Unicorns are called unicorns for a reason, because they're not exactly always easy to find. And it is a lot more complex than people give it credit. Sometimes it does just happen at a nightclub, and, if that's your jam, then that's cool. But having the conversation at least allows you to explore your fantasies. Again, it can also be role play. It could be something that gets included into your dirty talk. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it.
Yeah. I've got a number of questions, but let's start here. Let's do this voice note first.
Hi, Clement and your guest. I've actually done it twice in 2 different relationships. And the last relationship, the person we invited ended up being with the partner.
Oh, no.
Since I was in a committed relationship, now they are the ones that are now inviting me. Actually, yeah, this whole conversation is even turning me on.
Oh.
I love that. I'm so glad that they managed to navigate that, and now he's being invited. How fantastic.
It's so interesting. Okay, so, and there's someone here who says, because there sometimes can be these triangles, right? What happens when I'm in a relationship with Nu, and then I say to Nu, hey, let's invite this other person, but it's a person that I have already had a sexual encounter with in the past. Does that work? Because that's a question I got on Twitter, that sometimes that's what people do. And I mean, as Nu, what do you say when your partner says, oh, let's invite this person in, but it's a person that I've already been with?
So I think that then needs to be a deeper conversation on why that person. It can be very triggering if I was doing that with you. It could be very triggering for me. Like, why are we bringing in an ex? What is the repeat need for here? And I think if I felt comfortable with it and I wasn't threatened by that person, then maybe it's a conversation that we can have. But again, it comes down to consent and comfortability, constant communication around it. Of the why. Are you just missing the ex? Are you wanting to bring the ex in because you're longing for that type of sex you had with that particular ex? I guess, rooting why that particular person. And that goes to beyond just maybe someone you've already been with sexually, an ex. It could also be someone that you know. I do encourage people to err with caution when playing with people that they are friends with, so that you have good, solid communication to ensure that doesn't then obliterate the friendship on the other side, because that's someone you're going to regularly see again and have a different vibe with when you go to a bride. But last Friday we were in the bedroom together and that looked a little different when you were with my husband. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of dynamics that can come into play with that. Err with caution. Triggers are very real.
Relationship issues
Relationship Talk.
on 702.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's continue with our relationship and sex feature this morning. It's adult radio. Again, a reminder that kids are not allowed in this conversation. We are talking about how to navigate threesomes in your relationship. Have you had a conversation about this? Maybe it was your fantasy. You wanted to try it with your partner. How did that go? Were they keen? Have you tried it? How did it go? Are you considering it? What questions do you have? Lerato, you're calling us from Johannesburg. Good morning.
How are you?
Good, Lerato. How are you doing?
All right. Interesting conversation here, triggering.
Why is it triggering you? What happened?
Yeah. It's just giving mixed emotions, you know.
Yeah.
So, it's a few years ago when I first experienced it. It was between myself. I'm a straight woman, just for context, and I was having it with a lady who's bio, so who dates both women and men, and the guy was straight as well, you know. So, and I made a mistake. Like I said, it was my first time in experiencing that. So what I did not do was to check if the condoms that were being used were being changed or not. So later learned that the guy, we used one condom. So the guy penetrated both and this lady with one condom. Right? Very dangerous. Yeah, and then we also had our time with this lady. I did not quite enjoy it. I don't know why, because we were all strangers, you know. And luckily, by that time, I was not in a relationship. I was like, let me just explore this thing. Maybe fun, but unfortunately, it didn't turn out as I had hoped.
So all of you didn't know each other?
No, we did not know each other. Yeah, we did not know each other.
Okay, so you didn't even enjoy with the guy, not just with the girl, just the whole entire experience?
Not even. I did not. But turns out they both enjoyed themselves.
Okay.
The lady enjoyed me much more, you know. Yeah, more than she did with the guy. And I've always wanted to experience it with two males, actually. So at least I'm with just two guys and myself, and I hadn't had the chance to. And now I'm in a committed relationship, and I don't want that. I'm a very jealous partner, and I would not be able to stand to see my partner kiss or even penetrate another woman.
Somebody else. Yeah.
Humans, you know. So I'm good. I'm fine now.
Yeah.
I think that train has just passed me, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and it's okay, right? It's okay to also say, "Oh, babe, this is not gonna work for me because this is how I feel." Nu. It's okay to be jealous and say, I don't want to see you satisfy somebody else. You are for me, and I'm okay with where we are now. You can talk to your partner and be honest like that.
Absolutely. I do just want to jump in to say, Lerato, thank you so much for your call. And I'm sorry that this conversation has been triggering for you. I love that you mentioned and were open enough to share your experience, because there's a lot of listeners who can learn a lot from what you've just shared. The fact of safety, number one, consent and safety being the core front of a sexual experience like that. Changing out a condom when you are penetrating one person to the next, whether it is multiple people, back to front, you need to make sure that there is hygiene and that we are all taking care of our safety in making sure that there are regular changes of condoms, that we're very conscious about where we're putting, what we're putting, and how everyone is feeling about all of that. I'm sorry that your experience wasn't as fruitful as you had hoped it to be, but I do just want to applaud you that you did it. You had a desire to explore, and you explored. Everything that we explore sexually is not necessarily going to be the thing for us. You don't know till you try, and you had the courage to try something, and it didn't work out for you, and that wasn't something that you wanted. And now you know that. You would never have known that unless you had tried it. And now, being in a monogamous, committed relationship, you have these desires to potentially be with two males at the same time. Doesn't mean that that goes away. It can be something that is a fantasy, that if you ever shared with your partner, could be role play, could be fictional. Doesn't mean that it's going to be implemented. It just means that it arouses you, and that's okay. But I do just want to commend you and encourage you to be gentle with yourself in this time. You did it. You tried it. You did it to the best of your knowledge with the best consent you had. And that was an experience. Now you know.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Lerato, for sharing that.
Hi, Clement. I would like to find out from the listeners out there and your guest, where do we find these communities where one can explore or find people who are, open to open relationships?
Yeah. And there's somebody else, I think, on the WhatsApp line. I don't know if I lost that, but someone was also asking about, okay, where? Because there are people who seemingly have a fantasy about this. They want to try it, but they just don't know how to go about it. Where do you even start?
Mm-hmm. So there are lots of places, spaces, and communities that you can look out for. I think obviously the first thing I would do is check out some apps and see on your bio you can specify. So whether you are using Thruple, Field, Grindr, Tinder, you can specify what you're into and what your desires are. Field is FEELD. That's a very popular one. There are a lot of apps out there that connect you in the dating world. Again, with caution when on dating apps, you want to make sure you're not getting catfished. So have your own rules and boundaries around establishing the person is real before you share any imagery or you meet up with anybody, meeting in public, things like that. If you're down to just find a group or a community or a space, there are, I think, 2 events that I can recommend. One would be Eden, a highly popular, incredible space. This is not a play party. This is just a club where like-minded individuals can get together and feel liberated. That is held in Joburg. And then there's also Repentance here in Cape Town. There is lots of Facebook groups. And once you start opening that can of worms, you start to kind of connect with people who will then go, oh, I know this group and I know this event and I know this space. There's Epicure and Heartbeat. There's a lot of places. I think it's opening the door to start investigating who are your community, where is your community and the people that are like-minded that you connect with. So those would be some of the places that I can recommend.
Yeah, there are some here also being recommended, but I'm too scared to mention them because I haven't checked them out. But as you said, thank you for mentioning those that you've suggested. They're new. Here's another WhatsApp.
Hi, Clemza. The fantasy of a threesome, it's there. I have it. I'd like to have a threesome with my wife, me and another lady and her, but I would not be open to the other way around. So no, it's a definite no. It's a definite no, Clemza. I cannot watch another man touch my wife. I would lose it. I'd go mad.
Yeah, that's interesting. So on Twitter, Sia says, "Hi Clement, I'm a bisexual man that was once invited by my neighbor, and his wife to come join them for a threesome, and it was fascinating." So this person is mentioning other things I can't say on the radio, but Nu. Does that complicate things? So where there's a straight couple, well, and I say straight maybe in inverted commas, but then the husband invites the guy who's a neighbor who stays in the same estate, from what I'm picking up, and says, hey, come join us. The wife consents and they do that. Does it complicate it? Because then the wife probably asks, okay, but I thought you're straight, or how does it work there?
Okay, so I think that's a fantastic thing to bring up. If you're going to play with your neighbor, make sure there's some good boundaries because you're going to see them on a regular. Yeah. So make sure that there's some good, clear communication around that. So the interesting thing is Clement, is what our sexual desires are do not define our sexuality. So there are a lot of people who may desire, like a male may desire to give oral to another male, does not make him gay. There is a female who may want to have a sexual experience with a female, does not make her lesbian. I think that that's where where the water gets a little bit murky, is that people assume that because you have this sexual desire to do something, that automatically means that you are this sexuality. And we start to put people in boxes. Where I think that if we undo the box and kind of keep an open mind in the sense of this is a sexual experience, this is something that turns you on for whatever reason. then I think we keep a little bit more of an open mind around that. It helps to broaden our perspective of sexuality and sexual desire and what we're into. So just because you desire the same gender doesn't necessarily always mean that your sexual orientation is that of that experience.
Yeah. Tandeka says, hi Clement, first and the last time I invited a friend into our bedroom is when my boyfriend did round 1 with me, 2 with her, and wanted to repeat and do round 3 with her instead of with me. And I was so hurt. The entire session ended abruptly, and before they could commence their damn round 3, she was immediately Ubered out of my house, and our friendship had ended on that day. Amadota scam. So men are scammers. Okay. Ooh, that's not a good and again, that plays on that jealousy part we're talking about, Nu, where I mean, you're okay with your partner doing round 1 with her, round 2 with you, but then your partner wants to go repeat the third round with her and not with you. Yeah. Or maybe is it because the rules were not clearly defined before going into that experience?
Yeah. So I think, again, circumstantial, right? Because when you're in that experience, they may not have ever known that there would be a round 3, that he'd even be into having or have the energy for a round 3. So they probably didn't discuss it. However, I just want to normalize triggers, jealousy, and normal, natural human emotions will come up. They are inevitable. So knowing and having tools on how to navigate that and connection with your partner to be aware of each other as your primary is fundamental. If you don't feel like you have that, the toolbox yet, go and source that. There are professionals who can guide you in this. There are counselors, therapists, groups, communities on Facebook that can give you the tools within this lifestyle or this experience to know how to have a tool to handle that moment a little bit better. Again, we're humans, and there's a variability that happens here that we can't map out. Jealousy and triggers will come up. It's how you handle them and how you are aware of your partner and the open, constant communication. Again, consent is not a one-off conversation. It is continual. So being able to check in and be like, hey, babe, this is what I'm at. I'm conscious that you're here. Let's include you. Let's maybe make round 3 all of us together vibe. There can be a discussion that happens with that. If you are adults engaging in adult activities, you should have adult conversations about it.
Another one says, Clement, threesomes done properly are wicked fun. My wife and I recently got remarried and we regularly share girlfriends. Actually, we're looking for a gorgeous redhead at the moment. That's a message there from Anonymous.
I love that they're putting an ad out right now.
It's already an ad. Okay. Another
Shout
one says,
out to any redheads out there.
who's available. And then someone as Anonymous says, hi, Clement. Now, one's depravity will be on full blast. My partner and I love to mutually explore. Strip club visits, Mavericks and the Grand are my favorites. Threesomes and swingers clubs. We are exclusive and openly play together. Our communication is phenomenal and there's no much safety issues. We have never been this honest and open about who we have evolved to be. When this lifestyle no longer serves us, we will grow out of it. That's a message from Anonymous. Another Anonymous says, Clement, I was invited to become a third in a same-sex couple situation. Mine was to satisfy the versatile guy because the other one was a strict bottom. The bottom decided to end the engagement because the verse started enjoying it more. Fast forward a few weeks later, the bottom was texting me on the side to service him exclusively only. That's a message there from Anonymous. Another one says, hi, Clement, and Nu. I want to remain anonymous here. I'm in a committed relationship. I once asked her about her fantasy and she said she would like to try a threesome with another male and myself. When I seem serious about it, then she says she was just joking about it. The problem is, I don't know if I'm mentally and emotionally ready for that. So please advise. What does this person do?
If you are not mentally or emotionally ready to engage in a sexual experience, do not engage in the sexual experience.
Yeah.
It is as simple as that. If you don't feel ready, don't do it. There is no obligation to do it. If you are intrigued to go and get yourself ready, then go and seek the tools, guidance, and support that you need in order to get yourself emotionally and mentally ready for something like that. But do not play with hand grenades if it's not necessary.
Yeah. Another one says, "Hi, Clement. We are a black couple. Tried to spice up our sex life with my wife by doing threesome, but we struggle to find a lady since last year. In fact, we don't know places to look at. We tried at the pubs, but we failed. I think this is still a taboo to many people." That's a message from Anonymous in Pretoria. You know what I'm loving about the people calling us and texting us new is, these are people who are partnered, who have had conversations with their partners about this. And for me, that says there is a conversation going on. People are having conversations about what satisfies them and what they want to try. They're becoming more liberal and not, just sitting and saying, "Oh, but culture says," or, "Ooh, even though I think about this and I watch porn of this and I fantasize about this, I'm just scared to do it." I love that people who are married are coming and saying, "Me and my wife, me and my husband are looking for something like this." So people are talking out there.
Absolutely. And it's so great to hear. And if you do, like the other caller said, if you do it right and there is solid communication, it dials up your honesty and communication in your relationship tenfold. You think you've got good communication now, then you experience something like that, your communication goes up tenfold. And if you can do it and have good, clear communication and a trustful, safe relationship, then you're opening up to a whole other candy land.
And then someone else was asking that, "Hey, I hear a lot of people are really raising the issue of jealousy. So how can couples navigate emotions such as jealousy, insecurity, or their fear of comparison in these scenarios?"
I think to normalize jealousy, be open to have the conversation, ask the questions, to be aware of your partner and where they are. Constant check-in and validation and reassurance are essential parts of soothing jealousy. And it's making sure that your partner feels safe enough to say, "I'm feeling really jealous right now. I'm feeling really insecure." So you don't have to necessarily always pick up on the subtle body cues. That can sometimes be very difficult and I don't think fair enough to say that's the only source of communication. It has to be verbal. You have to own your jealousy and say, "I am feeling a little jealous right now. I'm feeling a little insecure." Let your partner know and have that conversation to journey together so that you can find your way to more comfort, validation, and security within your relationship. It's normal, it's natural, and it will happen.
Yeah. Okay. Any last parting shots, Nu? It really, so there are lots of messages I'm getting from people who want to know where to try this. I know you've given us some places before. Yeah, I've just been reluctant to also mention some of the places here being suggested because I just don't know if they're legit or if they're safe for these guys. So I would rather someone call us and, and say, "Yes, I've tried, I've gone and I can suggest this." Any parting shots for people who've been listening who are like, "Okay, I've been wondering, I've been fantasizing, and here's an opportunity for them to finally try it with a partner or talk to their partner about it." Or maybe they're single and they're thinking, "I want to give it a shot."
So definitely, if you're interested in this arena, start off by identifying what you desire out of this experience. Communicate that to your partner. If you have a partner or partners, let them know where you're at on it. Begin the journey of the conversation. Make sure that you have the tools and communication and security within your relationship to go on this adventure. Be open to the variabilities of what this experience may bring up for you. Be conscious to prioritize each other in this experience, because at the end of the day, this is supposed to root you back to each other in strengthening your relationship, not breaking your relationship down. That is not necessarily the objective that anyone gets involved in this. Find communities, support, counseling, therapy of professionals who work within this space, who are willing to hold and guide you on this journey. Play in spaces that are safe. You will always know a good party if you go to one, within the sexual health, like within the sexual arena, is that there's always someone who is what we call like the angels of the event. They are the people who are sober, who are walking around, making sure everyone feels safe. It is properly run by people who know how to run an event like that. There is always a master or mistress who are guiding the experience, who are making sure that there is constant consent, constant communication around that. And there are places and spaces that you can experience that. As mentioned, Joburg has the amazing Eden. I can highly recommend that. It's not a play party, so you do not engage in sexual experience there, but you're connecting with like-minded people. If you choose to go on beyond that, that's great. Also in Cape Town, Repentance, again, another club, not a sex club. It is a kink club that you can go and explore and connect with like-minded people. It is not a play place, but is again a place to connect with people. I think protect yourself. Go slow and make sure that this is something that you are giving a full body yes to. We want full body yeses, constant communication and check-in. And I hope you have a great time. And this is a great opportunity. Let your partner know.
Yes, go have fun.
You heard
with
this
your
cool
boo.
segment on 702? Let's open that convo.
Yeah. I'll also tweet this podcast. Just send it to your partners. Did you hear this? What do you think? Nu Davidson, always great to chat to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. It's 4 minutes now before 12.